Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good whatever time of day it is, and whatever part of the world you're at. Welcome back. And today we're going to continue our lesson about quadrilaterals. But now for this video, we're specifically going to focus on rectangles. Okay. So we're going to check off all of the statements or phrases that apply to a rectangle. Now, if you watched one of my previous videos, we went over we kind of broke down quadrilaterals, okay? And the reason I'm pointing this out is because we already know that the properties of a quadrilateral and a parallelogram also apply to a rectangle with the addition that four right angles of the four right angles. So now the reason I point that out is because everything that's true about a parallelogram is also true about a rectangle, okay? So all of these are also true. Now, the one new thing that we're going to add is that the diagonals of a rectangle are congruent. So that's the one thing that specifically is different that makes a parallelogram a rectangle, is that the diagonals are congruent, okay? So now that we've addressed that, we're going to go down here and take a look at two of these two problems. But before that, let's go ahead and label our rectangle. First and foremost, we'll start with the fact that the rectangle has four right angles. So P, Q, R, and S are all right angles. Okay. Another thing we can say are that the opposite sides, PQ is congruent to SR, and PS is congruent to QR, okay? We could also say that the opposite sides are parallel. For example, PQ is parallel to SR, and we could also say PS is parallel to QR. Okay, so those are different markings that we could do to this rectangle. All right. Now, we also discussed the diagonals, that they are congruent, which means that they are equal to one another, the distance. So, for example, we can say PR is congruent to QS. Okay, the diagonals are congruent. And the other thing that we did not really address, but it's implied, is that the consecutive angles are supplementary. So for example, angle S plus angle R equal 180. I could also say angle P plus angle S is equal to 180. All right, these two angles are consecutive, just like these two angles are consecutive. Okay, so once again, consecutive angles are supplementary inside of a quadrilateral. All right, now that we've kind of discussed that and broken the rectangle down based on the definitions, let's go ahead and look at these two problems to apply our work. So first they give us PR, and once again, let's highlight that. Here's PR. Then they give us SQ or QS. Now, we just got done saying that these are the diagonals and that they're congruent. So we know that PR, sorry about that. PR is congruent to SQ, all right? And they want us to find TR. This is what they want us to find. TR. Okay. Now, in order to find TR, this is one thing we didn't discuss. I did not say this. The diagonals, just getting back to it before we complete number 11. Each of the diagonals bisect each other. So the smaller segments, for example, S to T and T to Q are congruent, these smaller segments, because they've been cut in half. That the entire yellow line was cut in half by the purple line, just like the purple line is cut in half by the entire yellow line. So those segments are congruent, okay? They're equal, the smaller segments. So now getting back to that, they want us to find TR, which is half of PR, okay? So we have to solve for X, and then we're going to plug X into PR and divide it by 2. So let's see here. PR, 3X plus 5 equals 5X minus 9. Subtract 3X from both sides. That's going to be 5 equals 2X minus 9. Add 9 to both sides. That's going to be 14 equals 2X. Divide both sides by 2. X is equal to 7. In order to find TR, we need to know what PR is. So let's figure out what PR is. PR is 3 times 7 plus 5. So that's 21 plus 5, which is 26. And then in order to figure out what TR is equal to half of PR, which is equal to 1/2 of 26, which is equal to 13. So TR is equal to 13. All right, let's take a look at number 12, and then we'll wrap this video up. Number 12, they give us the angle PSQ. So PS and Q. We have that angle here. And then we have the angle PQS. PQS. We know that is another angle right here. Okay, those two angles are not congruent, so we got to give them different markings. Now, we've kind of sectioned off a triangle, and we know that this other angle up here is a 90-degree angle, okay? Now, inside of this little triangle, those two angles that are not right angles, they both add to equal 90, okay? Because all three angles have to equal 180. Inside of a triangle, all three angles have to equal 180. And if this one angle right there is already 90, then the measure of the other two angles together have to equal 90 as well. So, in short, let me erase the purple and the gold. They have given us the two angles, okay, here. They gave us this angle here, and they're giving us the measure of this angle. Those two angles, when we add them together, have to equal 90 degrees. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and set that up. That's gonna be 6x minus 13 plus x plus 5 equals 90. Okay. And as a matter of fact, if we did want to write this entire thing out, we could, because all three angles, this is an angle inside the triangle, that's one angle inside the triangle, the other angle is 90. And then we can set them all equal to 180 like that, because the triangle, all three angles have to equal 180. So if we keep working that out, we add the x's, that's going to become 7x, add negative 13 and positive 5, that's going to become negative 8 plus 90 equals 180. Okay, and after that, if we add 8 and subtract 90 from both sides, or well, we can combine those first, so that's going to become 7x plus 82 equals 180. Then that's going to become 7x is equal to 98, because we're going to subtract 82 from both sides. And when we subtract 82 from 180, that becomes 98. And after that, we're going to have to divide both sides by 7, x is going to equal 14. Now, we're not done, because if we zoom in, they want us to find the measure of PQS, right? So PQS is x plus 5, which is going to be 14 plus 5. And 14 plus 5 is, let's do the x first. So the measure of PQS is x plus 5. X is 14. So 14 plus 5 is 19. So it's going to be PQS is 19 degrees. All right. So that will conclude the lesson for rectangles. You all have a great day, and see you all back for another one. Deuces.